Humans love to believe we're living at the peak of knowledge. Every generation does this. We look at the past and say, wow, how did they not know that? People once thought the sun revolved around Earth. They thought diseases were caused by bad vibes in the air. They thought bloodletting was medicine. They thought smoking was healthy. They thought the brain was basically decorative. And every time humanity realizes one of these mistakes, we laugh, we cringe. We say, okay, we finally figured it out. But here's the uncomfortable pattern no one likes to talk about. Every generation thinks it's the first one that's truly awake, and every generation is wrong. Which brings us to a terrifyingly simple idea. There is a universal truth, something obvious, fundamental, reality-shaping, that humans are one generation away from understanding. Not because we're stupid, but because understanding reality is a slow, awkward trial-and-error process, and we are always standing inside our own blind spots. Let's start with how knowledge actually moves. Science doesn't leap forward in clean jumps. It stumbles. One generation collects weird data. The next argues about it. The next laughs at how obvious it was all along. Max Planck, a physicist, once said something brutally honest. Science advances one funeral at a time. Not because scientists are evil, but because humans don't easily abandon the mental frameworks that shaped their entire lives. So progress often waits for a new generation, one that didn't grow up believing the old story. Now here's where it gets interesting. Look at what we're currently confused about. Consciousness, time, reality, free will, the nature of the mind, why the universe even exists. We have insanely advanced tools. We can see black holes, we can edit genes, we can talk to machines, we can measure particles smaller than atoms. And yet, ask humanity, what is consciousness? And the room goes silent. We don't know if consciousness is produced by the brain, filtered by the brain, emerges from complexity, or is something fundamental like space and time. We don't know if free will is real or just a very convincing user interface. We don't know whether reality is continuous or discrete, whether time flows or just appears to, whether the universe is random, deterministic, or playing a prank. These aren't small questions. These are the operating system questions. Now imagine the future. One generation from now, kids will grow up casually understanding things that currently make philosophers sweat. They'll learn in school that consciousness isn't mystical or magical, but also isn't what we thought. They'll look back at us debating these questions online and say, wait, they didn't know that yet? Just like we look at people who didn't know germs existed. So what might this universal truth be? Not a specific equation, not a single discovery, but something deeper. The truth might be this: reality is not objective in the way we think it is. Your experience of the universe isn't reality itself. It's a model, a simplified, survival-optimized hallucination generated by your brain based on incomplete data. You don't see the world as it is. You see the world as it's useful for you to see. Color isn't real. Sound isn't real. Time might not even be real in the way we experience it. They're interfaces. Like icons on a screen. Helpful, intuitive, but not showing you what's actually happening underneath. And here's the kicker. We already have hints of this. Neuroscience shows perception is constructed. Physics shows reality behaves nothing like our intuition. Psychology shows memory is unreliable. Consciousness research shows awareness lags behind decisions. The puzzle pieces are on the table. We just haven't snapped them together yet. Because once we do, it changes how we see everything. Morality, responsibility, identity, meaning. That's not a small update. That's a worldview reboot. So future humans might look back at us and say, they thought reality was something they observed, not something they actively created. They thought they were passive viewers of the universe, not participants shaping it through perception. They argued about truth without realizing everyone was experiencing a slightly different version of it. And that's the uncomfortable part. We like to think we're done learning the big stuff, that the remaining mysteries are just details. But history suggests otherwise. We are probably wrong about something enormous right now. Something so obvious that future humans will laugh gently and say, "It was right there." So what's the universal truth humans are one generation away from understanding? Probably not one sentence, probably not one discovery, but a realization that reality is far stranger, more flexible, and more dependent on perception than we ever imagined. And that the biggest mysteries aren't hiding in distant galaxies. They're happening inside our own heads. Right now. We're just not ready to see them yet. And that's okay, because every generation is allowed to be confused, as long as the next one gets a little closer.